Hey, movie lovers! I'm your host, Claire, and today we're going to be covering a 2019 horror thriller film called Impetigore, directed by Joko Anwar. So let's get straight into it. Two women, Maya and Dini, sit at toll booths, complaining about their jobs. Maya starts talking about a creepy man who started stalking her and frequently passing the toll booth. Just then, that man drives to the toll booth and starts staring at Maya in a disturbing way. He stays there, staring at her for a long time before finally moving after noticing the truck behind. Looking back, Maya realizes that the man had not left, but had parked his car a few feet ahead and had started walking to her booth. Maya starts to panic and Dini calls the police. The man approaches Maya's window and starts knocking at it continuously. Maya opens the window with trembling hands and tells him she has called security. The man asks her if her name is Rahayu, which she tells him it is not. Then he asks her a couple more questions, both of which she does not answer. The man then goes to his car and comes back with a machete. Terrified, Maya leaves the booth and starts running and screaming for help. The man chases her and manages to throw her to the ground. He lifts her skirt to reveal stitch marks on her thigh and cuts into her skin there, striking her unconscious while she struggles against him. Just then, the police arrive. The man looks down at the now unconscious Maya and tells her that he just doesn't want what her family has left behind. He then lifts his machete, ready to strike her, but the police shoot him dead. Later, Maya complains to Dini about the new clothing business of theirs, which seems to be going south. She then shows Dini an old picture of hers with her parents that she found among her late aunt's things. She tells her she believes her parents have left behind a house and suggests they go live there as they are both struggling financially. At the back of the picture, the name Rahayu is written. They realize that the psycho man was right about Maya and decide to go to her village to look for her parents' house. Later in the bathroom, Maya finds a piece of paper with something written on it in the wound on her thigh. She curiously starts observing it and takes a picture of the paper. When Dini comes into the bathroom, Maya accidentally drops the paper in the toilet. A while later, they both start their journey to Maya's village, Harjasari. During the journey, Maya meets a man who she finds out knows many languages. She shows him the picture of the piece of paper found in her wound, asking him if he can tell her what it says. The man tells her that the written words are an incantation to protect the bearer from evil spirits, but the spell, he says, was written by an evil person. Maya then reveals to Dini that she never saw her parents since she was little, and her aunt never told her much about them. While looking out the window of the bus, Maya sees three girls standing by the roadside together twice in different places. She gets alarmed momentarily, but then brushes it off, thinking it must have been a mistake. After getting off the bus, they set off to Harjasari in a carriage. The carriage driver tells them that Harjasari is a secluded village that he only knows about because he recently dropped off Ki Saptaji, a puppet master from the village, at his home there. Maya asks to be dropped off at Ki Saptaji's and the man takes her there. On her way, she locates her house, the one she saw in the photo behind her parents. The driver tells them that the house has long been abandoned. He then drops them off at Saptaji's house with his business card and leaves. An elderly woman emerges from the house and asks them who they're looking for. They tell her they need to see Saptaji for some information that they require on puppet masters for their book. The woman informs them that Saptaji is not home and they should come back tomorrow. The girls then go to Maya's parents' house to spend the night. They break open the lock to venture into the dusty house and realize it was left in a hurry since all the furniture is still present inside. After exploring the house, the girls follow some people taking a dead body to the cemetery and try to find Maya's parents' graves. In front of her parents' graves, they see numerous graves of children who died the same day they were born and get confused. Outside the cemetery, they find the words, courtesy of Ki Donowongso, written with the cemetery's name. Ki Donowongso was the name of Maya's father, and looking at this, Dini remarks that the villagers must not have liked Maya's parents much. Next, we are shown a house in which a woman just gave birth. Saptaji takes the newborn from the woman's hands and drowns the baby in a bathtub, while the child's father watches, crying but not trying to prevent it. As they take the baby's body to the cemetery later, the girls follow them and get confused about having witnessed 2 deaths in 2 consecutive days. As they turn to leave, they are approached by Saptaji, who invites them over to his house to talk about their book. While buying some food from the village, Maya asks the girl selling the food about the abandoned house. The girl tells her that according to her grandmother, devils used to live in the house and left behind a horrible disease. Back at the house, 2 villagers approach Dini and tell her that she cannot stay at the house as it does not belong to her. Dini asks them who the house belongs to, and they tell her that a girl called Rahayu is the heir of the house. Dini pretends to be Rahayu, and the villagers persuade her to follow them to Saptaji's to get the legal documents for the house. After reaching the middle of the forest, Dini tells them she has to go back, but the men strike her unconscious with a blow to the head. Dini later wakes up to find herself hanging upside down from a tree. Saptaji arrives, and she starts crying and begging him for help. Saptaji starts saying something, but his mother enters behind him, and without hearing another word, she slices Dini's throat, saying if they hurry, they might be able to save 2 babies who were on the way. Not being able to find Didi, Maya goes to Saptaji to ask about her. Saptaji denies knowing anything about Dini and tells her he will send men to look for her. Later, Saptaji's mother is seen hanging Dini's skin on a line outside her house. After spending a whole day looking for Dini in vain, Maya goes to Saptaji during one of his puppet shows to ask about her friend. Saptaji's men tell her that they have looked for Dini but have not found her, after which she returns to her house. A little girl then tells Maya that a woman is going into labor and she should come to see. Maya goes to the house of the pregnant woman, and through the crack of the door, she watches as the baby is born without skin. Saptaji holds the baby in his arms, shocked to see that he has been born without skin again, and drowns him in a tub. The baby's father calls Saptaji a liar for making him believe that they would have a healthy baby. Saptaji slaps him and tells him that he is doing all he can for the protection of the villagers. Outside the house, Maya is met by the same girl from the food shop earlier. The girl, called Rati, takes Maya to her house and tells her about their cursed village. She asks her if she has noticed that there are no children in the village. When Maya tells her she has seen 2 little girls, Rati says it's impossible as no child has been born in the village for over 20 years. Maya is told that a village elder, Ki Donawongso, once used to live in the abandoned house. Saptaji's mother, Ni Misni, was a servant there. Donawongso married the most beautiful girl in the village, but they did not have a baby for a long time. When 5 years later, they got news of their first child. Donawongso was immensely happy. He held parties every week to celebrate the good news and performed puppet shows for the village. However, when their child was born, she had no skin, which extremely saddened Donawongso. A while later, 3 girls went missing from the village one by one. Donawongso's daughter, Rahayu, was then seen for the first time by the villagers. She was extremely beautiful and completely healthy. The villagers started to suspect a connection between the missing girls and Donawongso. One night, Saptaji revealed to the villagers that Donawongso had made a deal with the devil to protect his daughter, after which he went mad and killed numerous villagers at one of his shows before taking his own life. Rahayu was then taken to a far-off city by a loyal servant. Since then, all the babies have been born without skin and are killed by the village elder to end their pain and misery. It is said that puppets must be made out of Rahayu'S skin to lift the curse. Back at Saptaji's house, his mother performs a ritual and tells him that they killed the wrong girl. The villagers then gather and start looking for Maya, assuming she must be the real Rahayu. In Rati's house, Maya sees the picture of the creepy man from the toll booth and asks Rati about him. She learns that the man was Rati's husband who had gone to the city looking for a cure as their first baby is on the way. Rati tells her that she expects him to return with a cure for their baby soon. She then reveals to Maya that she knows she is Rahayu, but she does not believe killing her would lift the curse, as once a pact is made with the devil, the curse is never lifted. It is only transformed into another. Just then, a knock is heard at Rati's door, and she then hides Maya. When Rati opens the door, 2 villagers come in. They tell her that the wrong girl was skinned and used, and now they have come looking for the real Rahayu. After the villagers leave, Maya comes out and mourns the death of her best friend. She then decides to leave the village as soon as possible, despite Rati telling her that it is unsafe for her. Maya calls the carriage driver to come to pick her up, and he comes for her on a motorbike with a police officer. As she's about to leave, Maya tells Rati that her husband was shot dead by the police when he tried to kill her. Rati collapses upon hearing this news. Maya asks for her forgiveness before quickly walking towards the motorbike that just arrived. Walking to them, Maya realizes that the officer was actually a villager who wanted to find her. All the other villagers gather near the bike and tell the carriage driver to hand his phone over. When he refuses to give it up, they shoot him dead and take his cell phone. They start calling Maya from his phone, but she throws her phone away and runs. She stops a car and begs the man inside to help her get out of the village. He lets her get in, but then, upon seeing a girl on the seat beside him who asks him for help before ripping her skin off, he panics, losing control of his car and crashes into a tree. Maya is thrown out of the car due to the impact. While she's sitting against the tree, catching her breath, the ghosts of 3 girls approach her. One leans down to her, after which she is shown a vision. Through the vision, she learns that she was actually born from an adulterous relationship between her mother and Saptadi, then one of her servants. Saptadi's mother then made her son forget about the affair and cursed the child conceived from this affair, which is why Rahayu was born without skin. Donawongso had then abducted and skinned 3 girls from the village to make puppets from their skins, after which Rahayu'S curse was lifted and she was cured. The ghost girls reveal to her that to end the curse, she must bury the puppets made from their skins with their bones. After the vision ends, Rati comes to help Maya as the villagers approach. Maya tells her that she knows how she can lift the curse and goes to find the puppets made out of the ghost girls' skins. She then finds their bones in the abandoned house and buries the skin and bones together, after which the spirit of the ghost girls find peace. Just then, Ni Misni enters the house and reveals to Maya that Saptadi was actually the illegitimate son of hers with Donawongso's father. She reveals that she did not want the mistake to be repeated, so she tried to kill Maya. The villagers enter shortly after and take Maya away, tying her upside down to a tree just the way Dini was tied. With tears in her eyes, Maya tells Saptadi that the curse has been lifted as she did what she was told to do by the ghost girls. She further reveals to him that she is his daughter and begs him to let her go. In disbelief, Saptadi asks his mother if she is telling the truth. Ni Misni does not answer and tells him that if he does not kill Maya, she will take her own life. Just then, Rati comes running to them with a healthy newborn in her arms, telling them all that the curse has been lifted. Saptadi, ashamed of his mother's actions, uses the knife in his mother's hand to slice his throat and dies. Unable to take the loss of her son, Ni Misni also slices her throat and kills herself. Rati then frees Maya, who then leaves the village. A year later, the wife of a villager has a violent miscarriage, as it is shown that the spirit of Saptadi's mother has devoured the fetus, thus indicating the start of a much more horrific curse on the village.